pure market and self-directed individualism. And I think we saw examples of all of that there, but I think it was very useful the way that Richard said, it really does depend. Don't get yourself involved in some binary, that it's either the individual that should be making choices or sort of, or government should be doing it for us. And we'll continue to have, especially when Richard talks about issues, well, we've kept on hearing about the issues of sort of community development and community empowerment, which I think is very important. Another interesting thing, and this is mainly from sort of Richard's, the notion of environmental action. I think there were some lovely examples in there from Richard about how certain forms of action can actually be hiding the fact that we're doing nothing. And I think a good critical environmental thinker has always got to ask that. The fact that it was 1992 we had that Rio in the summit, and yet very little has actually been done. Sometimes this is called, this is called in the sort of the corporate world greenwash. The idea that people, that corporations are actually doing something about the environment, but sort of aren't. And I think what Richard was giving us was a sort of a number of examples of governmental greenwash as well there. But I think it all comes back to, like, all three of the speakers were talking about what Richard talked about at the very beginning of the course as sort of political economy. This is where economics becomes important, and it's where it intersects with politics. The very notion of who gets what, where, and why. These are the questions that I think everybody was talking about here. And that's why, as Richard was saying, the real problem we face is one of distribution. Who gets what, where, and why? And that's what political economy, again, is all about. I keep on coming back to that time and time again. Whether we're talking about Milky Ways or fish, or whether or not we're talking about pollution costs, it's all about that. And so I'd like to sort of, I think all three of our speakers who came from very different perspectives were able to give us a really useful illustration, and in a very non-jargonistic way, of the importance of economics in the sort of these environmental debates. So can you thank Richard, Sonia,